welcome again. You can say welcome so many times because we are always being welcomed to a deeper level of existence, to a deeper level of living our spiritual life. And as I was listening to each one of you introducing yourselves, and we have someone who has not introduced herself. Just arrived and realizing. Who are you?
I would also like to know. That's why I came.
Good. Recently we were with the mass rates of passage in the US with some friends, and we were in a circle, and the question we all had to reply was, "Who are you?" So each one started in the most formal way, right? My name is. But the question was not, "What's your name?" Right? Who are you? But anyhow, anyone say, "My name is this." And then the circle finished, and okay, let's go one more round with the same question. Who are you? So next time you cannot say the same thing, so you go a little deeper. We finish third time. We look at each other. Yeah, let's go. Who are you? And like this, we were like, I don't know how many times, and going deeper and deeper. So we should never get tired of asking the same questions, because there's always a new answer. When Sri Chaitanya met with Rai Ramananda, and he asked him what's the goal of life, how to attain it, and Rai Ramananda will present an answer, and Mahaprabhu will say, "Eho bahya agge kaha." That's superficial, go deeper. He will say something else. Mahaprabhu will say, "Superficial, go deeper." I'm not rejecting the answer, but just there's more. Augment that truth. And back and forth, back and forth. So I was listening to many of you saying about rediscovering what Krishna consciousness is, rediscovering ourselves in that rediscovery. And these days I don't have any particular theme in mind. I'm just open to also hopefully serving the necessity of the collective, what each one of needs as individuals and also as group. Because at the end of the day we are in all this together. There are some things that can only come not individually but in community. Like the very name of the main practice in our tradition is what we just did, which is called Sankirtan. And as I like to say, Sankirtan is a collective phenomenon. You cannot do Sankirtan by yourself. By yourself you can pick an instrument and do some Kirtan. And that's great, nothing against that. Some Kirtan. But Sankirtan, we need each other. So by the very name of the practice, Sri Chaitanya is implying we need each other. We are individuals, but also we exist, as we were talking these days, in sambandha, in relationship with one another and with everything else. So we have to acknowledge that interconnectedness. And who we are is in connection to all that we are related. We are not isolated parts. In English they will say, no man is an island. No woman is an island. Not everyone is an island. Nobody is an island. We do not exist in isolation. Although we are pretty good at isolating ourselves. At seeing ourselves as like disconnected parts. While actually all that exists are wholes. Not whole with H. Whole starting with, how say, W. Wholes. This is the message from the sacred Upanishads, right? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasyam Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Maybe you've heard a few times the word Purnam there, right? Purnam, Purnam, Purnam. That's basically what the verse is saying. Purnam means whole. So it's saying the divine is whole. Whatever comes from the divine, like this world, is whole. But this world is one example of everything else. So everything is whole in its own way. But many times we live in a very unwhole and unholy life. So at least personally I like to think of spiritual life not only as holiness but wholeness. No? Integration of human dimensions, spiritual dimensions, all possible dimensions. We want to be integrated beings. To have integrity means you are integrating all these different parts that sometimes are very scattered. Here's my body, my mind, my emotions, and we are living a disembodied spirituality many times. So Krishna wants us Purnam, complete units, complete entities. We do not need to reject anything. We need to get rid of the false myth that spiritual life is about rejecting stuff. Right? Sometimes we can have that very negatively oriented perspective. Yeah, I'm practicing spiritual life. What do I have to reject? No? What's all the bad stuff that is slow and bad? But eventually you come to learn. The only thing, as one Srila Prabhupada said, the disciple approached him and said, Prabhupada, for your sake, I'm willing to reject everything. Which is still not very positive orientation, right? I love you so much that because I love you so much, tell me what do I have to reject so I can demonstrate my love to you. Still is a little bit. Anyhow, this student went to Prabhupada with that approach. I'm willing to reject everything for you. And he replied very simply, said, the only thing you need to reject is the idea that you have to reject anything. That one thing you have to reject. Apart from that, we just need to learn how to accept things. But many times we are not very good at accepting either. So that's why rejecting sounds more easy. Right? Accepting, how to accept everything. Receiving is a way of saying receiving. And sometimes we may overemphasize giving as an avoidance of accepting and receiving. But receiving is a form of giving, because if you want to give me something and I receive it, I'm giving you the chance of giving me something. So even when you are receiving, you are giving the other person the opportunity to give. Follow my point? If I want to give you something, I say, no. False humility. No. I just want to give. I just want to serve. You need to be humbled by the receiving also. Because as we were talking all these days, we are already receiving so many undeserved gifts. But we need to awaken to become mindful that that's going on. Like we concluded the other day, and the other day was yesterday, I think. Anyhow, time passes in a different way. We had chronos and kairos, right? Chronological time and sacred time, another dynamic. So last morning, we were reading some poems, and we concluded one from Hafiz. He gave this example, saying, the sun never tells the earth, you owe me. Right? The sun is just giving the light in a very generous way. And he says, see what happens with a love like that. It brightens the whole world. So we are now receiving for free sunlight among endless gifts. It's not that we're on a daily basis doing some work to pay for our sunlight or something. That's a gift. But we need to consciously become aware of the gift and receive the gift. And then hopefully return with gratitude something. So all that's part of the cycle of wholeness also. If it's just about giving, even in the name of serving, which is beautiful to serve, to give, but that's only one side of the street. Love is always reciprocal. Love is always mutual. There's always, everything exists in relationship again. Whether it is one's relationship with one's guru, with one's friend, with one's partner, with nature, with everything. Krishna makes that clear in the Gita. As you approach me, I approach you. As you love me, I love you. It's not just you love me, and let's see if I reciprocate. Let's see if I'm on a good day. We'll see. But you have to do your part. No. Krishna is, so we were talking the other day with some friends. Krishna is so, and I think I shared that with you. You were those friends. Krishna is so willing to reciprocate that he even feels grateful in advance for all the service we have not yet offered to him. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that. Krishna is seeing all the potential service you can offer, but you have not yet offered, that he already feels grateful for in advance. He cannot wait that we actually offer them. He already feels the need to, thank you. And you're like, thank you for what? I didn't do anything. Thank you. It's too much. It's difficult to even comprehend that such a person exists, right? Yeah. And we were talking yesterday with some friends that, and our faith had to develop on those grounds, on the grounds of we are related to a fascinating reality. No? Bhakti is the path of, as Krishna Chandra will say, is the path of fascination. That's another way of defining our path. Path of fascination. Sometimes we think of Bhakti as a path of regulation. And there are some regulations, but the regulations are serving, hopefully, the path of fascination. So we may need some do's and don'ts, initial perimeter to put our existence a little bit in place, but the whole purpose of rules and regulations is just become fascinated with the sweet absolute, as I like to refer to Krishna. Smarta vyasatatam vishnor vishmarta vinajati chit sarve vidhi nisedasur etayoritatin says the Puranas. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Which is another way of saying become fascinated by Krishna. Fall in love. That's the only way you can always remember someone. Even if I pay you $10 million and I say, but you have to remember me always, sounds pretty narcissistic, right? Even if I pay you will lie to me to receive the money. Say, yeah, I'm always remembering you, I'm never forgetting you. But if you do not fall in love with a person, they cannot be that uninterrupted flow, current of absorption and fascination. So this verse saying, always remember God, never forget Him. In other words, fall in love, become fascinated, and then it says all the rules and regulations across the scripture only exist to serve this principle. Fascination, fall in love. So there is a place for rules as long as we understand why we are following them. That's why Rupa Goswami said niyama graha. Niyama graha means to follow a rule without understanding for which reason I'm following the rule. So if you do that, that's one of the six, he gives 6 ingredients to ruin your bhakti. Yeah. He basically says that, do you want to ruin your bhakti? Hopefully, no, thank you. So if that's the case, then don't do these 6. One of them is become fascinated with rules rather than with divine love. Or as one of my teachers will say, we have to be careful not to become only fascinated with our ideas about Krishna. We are to become fascinated with the person Krishna. Because one thing is my ideas about God. Another thing is the actual person. You see the difference? It's like here is Nico. So I can have so many ideas about Nico. Some may be accurate or not, but still ideas. But I have to meet the person and fall in love with the person. It's not enough for me to tell Nico, I have fallen in love with my ideas about you. It doesn't sound too romantic. But what about me? Not ideas. So sometimes our ideas about Krishna are not the same as Krishna. Probably that's why some of you say a few minutes ago, oh, I listened to that Padmanabha Swami and then I realized I don't understand anything. Sorry. I realized the same thing, just in case. So you are not alone. And I think we all need to go through that so many times. Because it's such a temptation to to go to this place of certainty. Now I know. Now I understand. Now I can put Krishna in a box. It's a product. I can label it, brand it. It's this blue, peacock feather, flute, curved tree. Now, you have all the perfect answers. But still Krishna is evading all that. Yeah, he's blue, but we have no idea which type of blueness he has. Yeah, there's a peacock feather, but not like any peacock feather we have seen in this world. So, yeah, he plays a flute, but when you actually hear that flute, then you understand what's the flute actually. You follow my point? So we have to be careful. Yeah, flute, blue, peacock feather, those are concepts. Yes, boxes. And many times when we put many things into those boxes, then we feel, oh, I'm stuck in my spiritual practice. No wonder why. We have put everything in boxes. So everything is very tidy, very nice, very compartmentalized, but that's not how reality operates. Reality is fluid, it's moving, it's unpredictable, it's ever evolving. It's not to put in boxes. Because if not, we are trying to measure things. And one word for those things that can be measured, how do you say that in Sanskrit? That which can be measured. Maya. That's the literal meaning of Maya. I'm not creating that. And also means illusion, right? So that's interesting because Maya means illusion and Maya means that which can be measured. In other words, whenever you try to measure something, that's what we call illusion. You cannot measure anything. And you can say, no, Swami, I can take this blade of grass and I can measure it and it's like this centimeter. Just bring some good microscope and go beyond what you see this blade of grass, and then you reach a point where you realize like your mind is I cannot measure anything here. There's so much going on just in this single blade of grass. On the surface, everything seems measurable, even Krishna. But if you go deep enough, if you scratch the surface just a little bit, even from a blade of grass, reality is not measurable. I'm not here to measure, colonize, manipulate, capture. No? That's the famous story of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma Vimohan Lila, the bewilderment of Brahma. Maybe you've heard about that. That comes before the Rasa Lila, strategically, because Rasa Lila is the zenith of the Bhagavatam, this circular dance of divine love where Krishna is celebrating existence with the gopis in the most intimate way. But it's not a cheap thing to enter there in deep detail. So before that we have so many things. We have 9 cantos to begin with. And then in the 10th canto we have this Brahma Vimohan Lila, where Brahma basically is, let's put it this way, the greatest intellectual of the universe. No. Someone tells me, I have 20 PhDs. That's a joke for Brahma. He makes 1 PhD per second with his 4 heads. So he's thinking in all directions, north, south, east, west. And he met Krishna at the beginning of creation, right? That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Krishna appears to Brahma as his guru, instructs him, gives the Chatur Shloki, 4 initial verses, and Brahma, this great personality, thinks, okay, I met Krishna, I met my guru, I know who Krishna is. Somehow there was some certitude there. Okay, now I met Krishna. Now I know who he is. And also he expressed to Krishna, you may know, I feel some inspiration. They shook hands with Brahma and Krishna. He felt, I'd like to relate to Krishna as a friend. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada confirms that Brahma wants to be a friend. One of the relationships in our tradition is you can be God's friend. As an equal. I mean, God's still God, but when you are a friend of God, the idea that He's God disappears. He's your friend. So Brahma wants that. But at the same time, he doesn't still understand what it actually means to be a friend of Krishna, what it takes. After some time, as you all know, he happens to go to Vrindavan, and Krishna is with his friends, sitting like we are sitting now in a circle, and they're having a picnic. So generally, you don't hear God having a picnic. That's in itself is a little bit like, God can also have a picnic? Of course. If you can, why he cannot? No? And he's having a picnic, and they are having, how to say, they are experiencing for Brahma, Brahma is someone, one name of Brahma is Vidhi, means he who follows all the rules perfectly. The scriptures say if you practice 100 lifetimes, you follow Varna, Ashram, Dharma without one mistake for 100 lifetimes, you are born as Brahma. And if you study in detail the scriptures about Varna, Ashram, they are filled with rules and regulations. You cannot make it properly after 5 seconds. But here's 100 lifetimes, then you are born as Brahma, which means he knows all these rules. Now he goes to Vrindavan, and all the rules are broken. For the sake of, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Remember what I said before. So the ultimate rule is love. Love rules. In English, rule is also a verb. Love rules. All the rules are to be broken for the sake of love, the ultimate. So that's what's happening on some level. Brahma comes with all his idea. I met Krishna, he was my guru, he instructed me very formally, and now he's seen Krishna in the full informality of a picnic. And Krishna sitting with his left hand. Left hand. Breaking all conceptions. That's for Brahma, that's enough. That is what? Left hand. Because in the Vedic tradition, you are supposed to fish with the right hand. Left hand is muchis, to do some other stuff, to clean your body, stuff, regulations, rules, stuff like that. Not only left hand, he's taking with his left hand food from the plates of his friends. And they are already eating, and he's taking from them and tasting what they are tasting. And Krishna's friends, on top of that, they are tasting sometimes their own things and making a bite and say, "Ooh, this is so good. How it tastes, Krishna?" And they put that in Krishna's mouth directly. They are giving Krishna their remnants. So this is the zenith of informality. And Brahma is like, what's going on? It's not this cannot be Krishna. That's his conclusion, because he saw Krishna on some level, and he put Krishna in a box and thought, this is Krishna. And here, remember, he said, I would like to be his friend. It feels nice. But now he's seeing Krishna with his friends, full blown, and he doesn't understand anything. He said, what? These are all imposters. This cannot be possible. It's not possible. This is not Krishna. This is not Krishna. I know Krishna. I know Krishna. So he tries to kidnap Krishna's friends, Krishna's cops, to show to the world this guy is not Krishna, is an imposter. And actually he's meeting a more real, a deeper version of Krishna than the one he met before. But it's so deep he cannot recognize, because it goes beyond his ideas about Krishna. We have to be careful about our ideas about Krishna, because Krishna is ever evolving. He's becoming always new, always fresh. So the Krishna that I met 5 minutes ago is already updated. So I need to be up to date to relate to that newer version of Krishna, which is deeper, which is more beautiful. Krishna means the all-attractive, and the all-attractive means he's always becoming more attractive. All-attractive doesn't mean he's super attractive, and that attractiveness has an end point, a rooftop. No. It's overflowing. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Krishna becomes more attractive at every moment. And Krishna means the all-attractive. So if the all-attractive becomes more attractive, Krishna becomes more Krishna at every moment. Krishna is Krishnaizing himself at every moment. That's how it works. We may not have an experience of something like this, but that's the only, for me, the only coherent definition of God. Someone who becomes more fascinating and attractive at every moment. Any other idea, I agree with the atheists. We will say, I don't believe in God. Why? Because probably they received a not very attractive notion of it. When I meet atheists and say, I don't believe in God, no, old guy in the sky looks like Santa Claus or something like that. That's a joke. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a joke. That's an insult to who the divine actually is. So we shouldn't rest till we find a coherent idea of the divine that fully satisfies us. Not only fully satisfies us, but blows our mind. And really keeps us in a state of awe and wonder. That's ideal place from which to practice spiritual life. Wonder. Not pressure, not fear, not intimidation, not fitting in, not separate agenda, all that stuff that is just one mask after another, but awe and wonder. So this is what happened to Brahma at one point. In the beginning, Brahma thought, oh, this Krishna is an impostor. I will show the world all that. I know who Krishna is. And again, it's a long story. I cannot go into details now. But Brahma thinks he's kidnapping Krishna's friends, Krishna's calves. But actually, those are expansions of the original ones. And he thinks that he's putting them in a cave. He returns to his abode thinking, oh, now Krishna doesn't know what's going on. This false Krishna. And he returns. And Krishna continues to be there with his friends and calves. And Brahma's like, I kidnapped them. What's going on? He goes to the cave, and the expansion of them is in the cave. So the four heads of Brahma gradually start like to spin. You know, like, I don't know what's going on. The greatest intellectual of the universe has no clue what's taking place. Because again, he thought Krishna is this. And many other things happen. And then comes this beautiful section of prayers where Brahma realizes, oh, I made a huge mistake here. I thought I could understand God. Meister Eckhart, the Christian theologian and mystic, he will say, if you can understand it, then it's not God. If you can think about it, then it's not God. God is not thinkable. And we can use our faculties as much as we can, but know their limitations as well. That's why we need to resort to trans-rational methods of knowing, like kirtan or prayer, where it's not I'm thinking my way to Krishna. In one sense, you have to put your thinking capacities and give them some rest, right? But many times we have exhausted our faculties from the neck up. Generally, we become trapped here. So one of the prayers of Ram was that Jnana Prayasa Muda Pasyana Manteva. Like, yeah, let's put aside all these attempts to figure out who God is with the head, and instead let's use the head to put the head on the ground and offer. By moving the head in that way, I will get much more knowledge than just trying to figure it out. And then he will say, yeah, some people say, I know Krishna. And Brahma says, I was one of them 5 minutes ago. Let them think that from my side, I just can bow down. So we are all here trying to rediscover what Krishna consciousness is. It's an ongoing journey. I mean, I've been practicing for 25 years, which is not much, to be honest. From the perspective of eternity, it's just like one blink. And I cannot tell you how many times I have to rediscover everything, myself included. Existential crisis where you're like, who am I? Again, this question was not just, you can ask only that question once, first time, then you are being told you are a spiritual soul. Next question now. No. Yeah, you are a spirit soul, but there are so many other ways to reply to that question. And what's a spirit soul? So that's how we progress, I will say, on the journey. It's a series of successive births and deaths in one lifetime. Inner deaths, inner life born. Like some mystics will say, die before you die. So many times we need to die. to false self. So many skins we need to shed as the snake. One, and be born to another one, and die to something, and be born to a higher conception. That's how we make progress. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say, today's perfection is tomorrow's imperfection. Tomorrow something else is waiting. And that's what keeps the journey exciting. It's always something new to discover. Always something new to marvel at. That's how we can keep any relationship, to be honest. I don't know, some of you are married and have your partners. The only way this relationship is sustainable is you have to keep rediscovering one another. If you put your partner in a box after a few months or years, yeah, I know who you are. Box number B. And when you react like that, oh yeah, that corresponds to box 16F. And that reaction, that belongs to that category. And it's like, you no longer relate to one another, but to our ideas about one another. There's no more discovery, no more excitement, no more surprise, emotion. And with Krishna it's the same. We are developing a relationship. It's a relationship. We are living together. So, and he keeps rediscovering ourselves. He keeps saying the Bhagavad Gita as Charya 3 times, 229. The soul is amazing. He keeps saying that. You buy new editions of the Bhagavad Gita, still that verse he keeps saying, you are amazing. He hasn't revealed, you have to update that edition, and I no longer find the soul amazing. He continues to be amazed at who we are. That's interesting. Because sometimes we do not see anything amazing about ourselves, and we get to hear Krishna is amazed at who you are. So then the question is, then who am I? If God finds me amazing and I find me sometimes worthless, then with whom I am related? Which idea I have about myself? Ideas are useful, but many times they can get in the way of the real thing, the real experience. And bhakti is ultimately about experience, not ideas. I mean, we may need ideas to guide our experience, to take us to an experience, but just ideas and concepts, that's tricky. Krishna says in the Gita, chapter 9, verse 2, Pratyaksha bhagamam dharmim. Bhakti can only be understood by pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means direct experience. You have to experience it. Undeniable. It's not about believing in Krishna. It's about experiencing Krishna. Like someone tells me, do you believe in Krishnangi Lila's existence? And it's like, wrong question. I have an experience of her reality, her existence. And sometimes we ask, do you believe in God? But it's not about believing. It's about having an experience. That was how Carl Jung once replied famously. They asked him, do you believe in God? He said, no, I know He exists. So I don't need to believe. It's already there. So that's the daily question. How can I have today a real, undeniable experience of Krishna? Let's be honest, sometimes we don't have that experience. And again, that's when we are invited to think, maybe I'm not having an experience because I'm having too many expectations of how the experience should go according to my ideas about Krishna. Krishna is this, and I put him in a box. So since he's this, my experience of this should be this. And that never comes, because Krishna is not that anymore. Even if your idea about Krishna was accurate, he became something else the next moment. So it's more being present to who God is now without trying to control the experience. As I always like to say, and as you may be thinking, it's not easy. That's why I'm never using the word easy. It's not easy not to think, to begin with. It's not easy not to. For example, try to present yourself as honestly as you can in front of who Krishna is now, without trying to think about Krishna, without trying to reduce the Krishna experience to your ideas about that. And we will realize with maybe lots of embarrassment, like, I'm addicted to my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking, and I cannot stop thinking in a certain way. Many times, that's what Krishna implies in the Gita when he says your mind can be your worst enemy. We tend to go to certain patterns of thinking, at least in general. And many times those patterns are repetitive. Many times they are useless. But we... which technically speaking, at least according to someone like Einstein, will be defined as madness. He will say madness means doing every time the same thing while expecting a different result. Right? I'm doing like this, it doesn't work. I will do it again, it will work somehow. It doesn't work. 108 times, it doesn't work. But next time it will work. Yeah. You're clinically labeled as out of your mind. So, but many times we take shelter in those repetitive patterns. So we need to change our way of thinking many times, and our way of thinking about God, about ourselves. Gradually, at least begin being open to acknowledge maybe my ideas are not entirely perfect. Sounds like basic humility, right? But it's important that we live our life from that place. It's a process, and we will fail miserably at that. I fail miserably on a daily basis about that. It's so easy to put people in boxes. To be honest, I'm making public confession here in front of the camera. And I say that the other day when we were sharing, I don't remember with whom, when, but it was in Berlin in the context of Bhakti Bloom. So I shared, I'm coming here first time, basically I never met any of you, almost, a few exceptions. So first time I'm meeting people, and that happens a lot during my travels, and always Krishna shows it's beautiful and it's great, but there's always sometimes some hesitancy of entering into the unknown. No? And in that not knowing the person without wanting, but you start to see someone and gradually put people in boxes, even from the distance, just how they look, or and again without even being conscious of that. But and then of course comes the great thing, which is then you get to actually know the person. You sit in conversation, you start to dismantle all these fears and projections and assumptions and biases that had nothing many times to do with the actual person. And it's like, oh my gosh, again. But I'm happy to give myself the chance of discover the person. But again, that doesn't only happen when I'm visiting one place and meeting someone for the first time. It can also happen when we think we know someone for 25 years. And we still need to continue taking pills and rediscovering the other person. And allowing ourselves to be discovered by the other person. Sometimes it may be even harder. But that's the beauty of relationships. The beauty, the price, the surrender. Again, surrender is a very important word in our tradition. But it's not just a word. It shouldn't be a word. It's this willingness to show up one more time, to be seen and to see the other person for who we actually are. And that can still feel terrifying. But to have that foundational faith and trust that this is the best possible way to live my life. That's why Jiva Goswami says, surrender is the outer expression of Shraddha, or faith. In other words, only if you have proper faith, you can actually surrender. You can actually show up in that way. If you are terrified with fear and you cannot open up at all. And sometimes we, for whatever reason, we cannot open up, and it's okay, we are not condemning that. But ultimately, life operates on the foundation of trust, openness, surrender, and in the beginning it feels risky. Srila Siddhar Maharaj will say, in the beginning of our spiritual life, when we hear things like the one Swami Padmanabha is saying this moment, maybe some of you are well identified with this, will feel first, all risk, no gain. All those things sound too risky. What's the gain? I don't see any gain. I see just overwhelming risk in doing that. Then you progress a little bit, you try it, and you realize, oh, the more risk, the more gain. You start to think differently. Oh. And then you conclude, no risk, all gain. When you live from an enlightened place, you ultimately realize, there's nothing I'm actually risking. It's all gain, it's all gift, it's all grace. We may not see reality like that yet, but in theory, that's the information we receive from the other side, so to say, from the seers of truth. No, there's no risk. Actually, there's nothing to lose. If you think you are risking losing something, that's that's an anartha. Anartha in Sanskrit means false value. So you think you have something probably, and then you think you may end up risking losing that, but probably you didn't have it in the first place. So you cannot lose what doesn't belong to you. If I'm too attached to this harmonium, and better I do not because it's from someone else. Too much, excessively attached, obsessively attached, something just like a clinical case. I mean, people get attached to so many things. I mean, I can imagine, there's people who get attached to a t-shirt, their favorite t-shirt, and if the t-shirt was lost, depression comes. It's like, it's a t-shirt. No, you don't understand. It's my t-shirt. Right? Because if you were walking and there's a car that has been crashed, hey, it's a car. But if your car crashed, the world has to stop right now. All the birds stop flying, that plane there stop there, my car has crashed. Right? But what's the difference between one car and the other? It's just the word mine. And what does it mean, mine? I have projected my identity into that object. Right? I over-identify with that to the point that that's kind of me. It became me. It's an extension of myself. Sometimes we have a very small conception of who we are, so we need to make it bigger by extending it into objects. My car, my house, aham mameti. George Harrison will sing, I me mine. All through the day, I me mine, I me mine, I me mine. Famous song. We go all through the day thinking I, me, mine. My sense of I depends on my sense of mine. According to what I possess, I am. Now the problem is, you own nothing. Which doesn't mean you are nothing. Of course, if you think my sense of I depends on my sense of mine, as we said the other day, human havings, you may go through an existential crisis. But at the end of the day, we own nothing. But we belong to everything. Those are the good news. You own nothing, you belong to everything. You don't need things to belong to you. You need to become aware of how you belong already. It's a different orientation. It's not what does belong to me, but to whom do I belong? How do I already belong? That changes the whole orientation. I don't know how I ended on this particular note, but just trusting where we are being taken. And also I want to invite, if you have anything you would like to ask about or anything you would like to share, to comment, to add. I don't like to make it a one-man show, so to say. Again, Sankirtan, we need each other, we are all in this together. I don't know if what I just shared so far makes any sense. You can say no, it's okay. Or if you have anything else you would like to add, to ask, you would like to expand upon.
Thank you.
Pariksha?
Yeah, so if Brahma was like his concept of Krishna was wrong, was it was because he tried to box Krishna, so box is measurable, so was he in Maya, or is his conception of Krishna was Maya in the sense of measurable? So he was totally wrong. Am I understanding right?
Yeah, of course some acharyas will explain Brahma was covered by Yoga Maya, by divine energy to teach that lesson to us. There are some difference of opinion in that regard. In fact, that's why, that's a long conversation, but that's why, for example, members from other Vaishnava Sampradayas like Vallabh Sampradaya, they will not accept those chapters from the Bhagavatam, because for them it's like Brahma cannot be an illusion. How is it possible that someone like Brahma could be an illusion, our first guru in the Sampradaya? But Mahaprabhu accepted them, interestingly. So that also could be taken to say, yeah, you can have lots of knowledge, be very advanced, but still, yeah, be wrong about something. Brahma is guru, and there are degrees of gurus also. Again, there are many conversations inside that lila, right? So one could say, there are degrees of advancement in a guru, and some gurus may still not have the full picture, so to say. It can happen. And the important thing is not so much whether they are never wrong or not, but what do they do if they are wrong. Like Brahma, he made that, if we want to take it as a mistake he made, what happened afterwards, right? So he became very humble, he held himself accountable, he prayed very sincerely, and he became more advanced after that. So that's the important thing also. Right? For me, that's a lesson I will take, that many times, and we were talking these days with some devotees, and I don't want to take a conversation too much somewhere else. But many times, not only in our Vaishnava community, religious groups at large, but if we want, we can keep it more local in our Gaudiya Vaishnava community at large. Many times leaders or gurus or authority figures may make some mistakes, and on top of that, the actual mistake is they do not hold themselves accountable. So if I am a guru and I made a mistake, and there are different degrees of mistakes, of course. You know, there are grave mistakes, there can be a mild mistake. Whatever it is, it shouldn't be a problem to acknowledge your mistake. Actually, even if you're a teacher or whatever, if you acknowledge your mistake, you are teaching your students how to hold themselves accountable. But if I'm a student and my teacher never accepts any mistake, I don't have any reference point as a student what to do when I make a mistake. And maybe I end up feeling miserable about myself or who knows what, and I go to very extreme places instead of normalizing, oh, we can commit mistakes. The important thing is what we do when that happens. Because if not, we create this neurosis of perfection. There cannot be mistakes. Oof. Good luck with that pattern. I mean, that's the recipe for misery. We make so many mistakes. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in every action there are so many mistakes. And he's not terrified saying that. He says that like casually. Like, oh yeah, with every action so many mistakes are there. But, again, the important thing is the sincerity from which we are acting and the willingness to acknowledge the mistakes. So many times it's very moving and humbling when a genuine leader can say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, forgive me. Even when saying, I don't know. Because sometimes, unfortunately, in some religious circles, that type of expectation is created. Or you are a guru, a leader, sannyasi, temple president, or whatever position, hierarchical stuff, you have to have all the answers to every question. Oh my gosh, that's too much. So sometimes it's necessary and humbling to say, I don't know. Or I'm sorry. That can be so empowering and inspiring for other people. So that's how I take that. In other sampradayas, they say, this story of Brahma cannot be there. And Mahaprabhu in our sampradaya say, that's one of the most important sections of the Bhagavad. So he's putting special light on that section. And there are so many other teachings, but yeah, that's an important one. And again, and not to crucify Brahma, so to say, even if we take that as a mistake, he did such a mistake, and forever he will be known as he who interrupted the picnic. That was just one chapter of his journey, but he continues to unfold. And in our tradition, we'll say, eventually he was born in Gaur Leela as Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, Haridas Thakur. We worship Haridas Thakur. Right? So all that messiness, if you want to put it that way, was a catalyst for him to upgrade his humility and openness and surrender, and then it all ended in this glorious presence of Haridas Thakur. And when Haridas Thakur, as we know, passes away, Krishna, Sri Chaitanya, takes Haridas Thakur's own body, caresses it, dances with it, bathes himself in the ocean. He, with his own hands, makes the hole for putting the body and putting into samadhi, bakes the food for organizing the festival. There you have Krishna doing all himself, serving and worshipping his own devotee. And that person is the Brahma who made such huge mistake. But again, it's not that Sri Chaitanya is like, when I was in Vrindavan a few thousand years ago, you tried to kidnap my friends. And now, let's see. No, nothing like that. That's past. Who are you now? That's it. So we should be careful here not to judge not only Brahma, each other, from what we did in the past. As we said the other day, not even in the present, but what's our brightest potential in the future? Let's try to relate to each other, knowing all of us are units of brilliant potential. So how in our relationship can we nourish that potential? That's how Krishna is seeing us, such is generous glance. I don't know if you actually made the question or I totally interrupted you in the midst of that.
Much more, but thank you so much. Yeah.
Sorry, I interpret that was the end. Probably you were just introducing the actual question. Excuse me.
No, I just try to understand, and you shed even more light on it than I expected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wishing to share a small prayer I discovered recently from some practice I have before Krishna consciousness, and I reconnect to it and keep both together now. And it's part of one prayer to connect with the divine. And it mentioned that forget everything you think you know about yourself, everything you think you know about your problem, everything you think to know about God. First time I hear this, I was like a bit kind of, how should I take it, you know? But yeah, after some time it makes quite a lot of sense because
That's intense, right? It's a big challenge. Like, start fresh, start new. That's interestingly the meaning of the word respect. Right? Because generally for respect, with many times think it's a more formal thing. Show respect to your elders. There comes the president of Germany, be respectful. And you enter just the realm of formality. Respectful, afraid sometimes. But respect means In Latin, respect comes spessare, which comes from spectacles. In German, maybe you say different. Spectacles in English means glasses. So spessare means to look, and re means again, to look again. That means, actually, that's the meaning of respect. Respect someone means, again, forget what you thought about that person till now and look again. No, look fresh, anew. Be open to rediscover that person. That's how you show respect to the person, not just external formality. Externally I respect you, but internally I have my fixed ideas about you. Yeah. Sometimes we are respectful to hide our prejudices and assumptions to the other person. But actual respect is be willing to rediscover the other person, yourself, Krishna, even a blade of grass. Again, we take for granted so many things. Blade of grass, yeah, blade of grass. I know what a blade of grass is. Mahaprabhu is in a blade of grass at Trinada Piece. Humility. He said, oh, the blade of grass is teaching me humility. It's bending without breaking. Oh. It's flexible. It's a flexible humility. It's not a humility that breaks me down. No? So be humble like a blade of grass. How? Bending without breaking. In a dignifying way, be humble. And we can be 1 hour just reflecting on this. And that's probably what Mahaprabhu said. I don't think Mahaprabhu said Trinada Pisuniche and he ran and did something else. Probably he was just like respect, look new. Sanatana Goswami says in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, I really like that line, very much in line with that. He said, if you learn to relate to a blade of grass for what the blade of grass actually is, you attain all perfection. All perfection is waiting for you in every blade of grass. And you're, but why haven't attained perfection yet? So much grass here. We are not paying attention, that's it. We are somewhere else. We are absent. Perfection is everywhere, Srila Maharaj will say. Perfection is everywhere. Perfection is omnipresent. And we are omni-absent. So bhakti is about gaining presence, being present. For me, bhakti is not so much attaining a goal. I'm here and I have to reach, and generally we point like as far as we can. It's not goal-oriented. Bhakti is presence-oriented. I don't need to go anywhere. I just need to continue to arrive here and now. Because all perfection is here and now. If I don't get closer to perfection here and now, I'm not getting closer to perfection anywhere else. It's not that I live my life utterly absent and distracted, and suddenly I leave my body and Krishna will do some magic, and I will send to Golok Vrindavan, and I don't have a clue what my relationship with Krishna is, but I will go to the reception department in Golok Vrindavan. It's like, what's your name? Okay, you have been assigned to department, Sakyarasa department, you are a friend of Krishna. Oh, thank you. You will be informed there about the details of your dailies. It doesn't work. You have to choose all that voluntarily here, gradually. All the things have to unfold in the here and now. There's no magical thinking, so to say. It's here and now or nowhere at all. Let's put it that way. We don't want to deceive ourselves. Anyhow, all that with the beautiful prayer you share with us. Thank you. Forget everything you think you know and start again. And every day like that. That's humility for me, right? I'm not taking things for granted. Let's do kirtan. Oh, I know what kirtan is. I know what kirtan is. I think I know. There's so many depths to what kirtan, sankirtan. Let's honor prasad. Oh yeah, prasad, of course. What's prasad? Prasad means grace. Even when we say, I will take prasad, you cannot take prasad. You can receive honor prasad. Prasad means grace. I cannot, let's take a bunch of grace. Give me 2 plates of, I'll take 2 plates of grace. That's not prasad. We need to, again, not to feel bad about ourselves if we got it wrong, just in case. Because maybe some of us are listening, it's like, oh my gosh. Like you were saying, I don't understand anything, I'm a mess. Oh my God, I thought I understood everything. But it's not to feel bad, it's not to feel miserable. In one sense, to celebrate. Wow. Because unlearning, I'm unlearning. Big part of learning is unlearning, actually. It's easier to learn, to just get new information. I'm learning. But we have to unlearn so much to actually have an experience and not just be accumulating information. Bhakti is not about accumulating information, but again, experiential knowledge. And unlearning is important because there are many things that get in the way of our experience. We may need to unlearn them. Anartha Nivritti. In Austria, some days ago, we had a series of classes. What is Anartha Nivritti? Really. That's how we call the series. Putting an emphasis on really. And deconstructing false values, false beliefs, and acquiring the proper ones. Something else? Someone else?
I'm thinking of this Lila with Brahma, and it seems he put it without saying something bad about Brahma, but it seems that he put it Krishna in a box like we always do, but with the mood of being proud somehow. And then in the same time, I remember, I don't know from where it's coming exactly, but the story where Krishna is running with the boys, and as they are running, they are looking at him, and everyone is seeing him differently. Like someone is seeing in blue, someone in red. So, and it seems to me like he's appearing as one from the point of view of love. So it's like a different, like a mood of proudness, and Krishna is then showing the lesson. But in the other way around, he's becoming out of love for his devotee, this what devotee wants to see in him. So it's, I'm just thinking, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, again, going back to Bhagavad Gita, when he said, Jayatamam prapadinte tam sataiva vajami, as you worship me, I reciprocate accordingly. So that means Krishna also will manifest in a way to reciprocate our love. So when there's love and there's openness to allow Krishna to be all that he wants to be, that's an important point for me. We're having a relationship with the divine, and Krishna wants to be someone for us in a particular way. He wants to offer himself in relationship, and we have to allow that. We cannot say, okay, Krishna, I'm relating to you, but here are the list of conditions of how you have to be in relationship to me. It's like, again, love has to be unconditional, ideally, especially if we are talking about loving God. Gradually, at least, reaching that point. So when we are open to, okay, Krishna, be all that you want to be in my life. Of course, you have to fasten your seatbelt also. But also trusting. Whatever comes from that, it's a blessing, and he will always surprise us. As you are saying, this is the example how Krishna will manifest uniquely to each particular devotee. Not only Krishna takes one form as Krishna for those who worship him as Krishna, and then as Ram to Hanuman, or as whatever, Nrsimhadev or whatever, he takes a unique form as Krishna to each single devotee. It's the same Krishna, but he's appearing in a slightly different and unique way for each person. We cannot think about it. It's too much, right? It's too much. That's good to reach that point where we are like, and smoke starts to come. But we can conclude, wow, this Krishna is too much. In the good sense of the term, because you can say it's too much in the other sense. Right? Yeah. So, yeah, that what keeps the whole Leela unfolding and exciting. And sometimes similarly in the Rasa Leela, when we hear that the gopis were dancing with Krishna, at one point they became a little bit like certain. Oh, Krishna is with me, or I'm the favorite. And Krishna would have disappeared. Because I read it like that. Oh, they reach a point of certitude. I know who Krishna is. I know, like some, no, you are not open anymore. You are not open for the next version of Krishna. So I need to disappear. It's not that, and in that disappearance, the gopis are thrown into a situation where they are willing to rediscover Krishna. Like Rama was in his own way. And they get together and they cry and they sing Gopi Gita, and Krishna is behind the tamal tree witnessing all that, and the gopis of the heart of the gopis grow in love to a new level, and then he reappears. And Rasa Lila, Rasa dance restarts, but now in an updated version, in a deeper level. Because they already were doing Rasa Lila, dancing and singing, but at one point this element of certitude came. And Krishna said, oh, it's getting boring now. Because certitude makes things boring. Because you start to put in boxes. Oh yeah, Krishna is this, I'm this. I'm leaving this place. Boring. One friend and mentor of mine, Franciscan author Richard Rohr, he will say so many things about this. Many. Let me share with you two of these one-liners that you can stay with them for a long time. One, he will say, and I say that many times, so those who hear my lectures already may know what I will say. So you cannot reply to this question. Nanga Manjari, sorry. Not this time. I know you know, so it's okay.
I love it.
So he will ask, what's the opposite of faith? What comes to your mind? The opposite of faith. Reply quickly without thinking too much.
Fear.
Fear?
Yeah.
What else?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Interesting. He will say the opposite of faith is certitude. Stay with that for a moment. The opposite of faith is certitude. Which again, it sounds counterintuitive. It sounds like, oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought that what faith was all about being certain about everything. But he said, no, faith, a real faith journey is about eternally coexisting with mystery. We are approaching the divine, the infinite. That's an eternal mystery. Again, as we are talking, you cannot fully know Krishna. He himself doesn't know himself entirely. There are verses in the Bhagavatam, Krishna says, my glories are unlimited, so I cannot find an end to that. I myself, I'm exploring, and I'm like when we hear Krishna's looking, his reflection in a jewel pillar, like in a mirror, and he's like, he's not as a narcissistic person. He's just wonder and marvel. What's that? Oh. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is basically that. Krishna doesn't know what's the glory of the love of Sri Radha. How does she love me? What does she see in me? What's the beauty that I have that captures her? What's the happiness she derived from love? I don't know. Krishna says, I don't know. And that becomes Mahaprabhu and Gaur Lila. Krishna trying to explore those things. And he continues to explore them. It's not that he reached a point like, now I know everything. Game over. Everyone will be like, no, game over. That's boring. So there's no game over. So Richard Rohr will say the opposite of faith is certainty. Certitude. Like, yeah, this is like this is like that. That's not faith. Faith is, one definition once came, faith is being patient with mystery. Stay with what's mysterious, what lies outside of your control. Be patient with that. Don't get impatient. I want my set of certainties, everything in boxes, everything clear. That's not faith. That's neurosis. Everything, control freak. Right? That's not faith. Faith is so many things are outside of my control. So many things I don't know, and it's okay. It's fine. I trust. I mean, I'm not saying that everything is uncertain, but like Henry Nouwen, another Christian author, mystic, he will say, the only certainty we have is that God loves us unconditionally. Everything else is uncertain. But with that certainty in place, you are loved infinitely by Krishna. Everything else can be uncertain. I can deal with that because I have that foundation. I am already fully, infinitely embraced and loved by the Sweet Absolute. So I'm okay with everything else being outside of my control. It's okay. And the other quote from Richard Rohr, I had two in mind, and then you will raise your hand over there, so we'll go there. He said once, interesting in this connection of not being too certain about God, he said, that's a good one. He said, yeah, I want to quote it literally. Our last experience of God, usually our last experience of God is the greatest obstacle to the next experience of God. You get my point?
Again.
Yeah, of course. Our last experience of God, I had certain experience of Krishna 5 minutes ago, and it's beautiful and it's great, ki jai, but usually that becomes the greatest obstacle to the next experience of God, because I became too attached to, okay, Krishna is this now. I'm privatizing that experience, putting it in a box, and Krishna is already wanting to become something more in my life. But I'm too attached to him being that, so that becomes an obstacle. You follow? So we need to let go. It's like, I don't know, if a couple is, okay, they're having the honeymoon period, no? But if you become too attached to the honeymoon, once the honeymoon is over, there's no more honey. So there's no more moon shedding light in the darkness. There's just pitch black. Because where is the honeymoon? No? And many times we have our honeymoon with Krishna consciousness, right? And I heard sometimes the devotees telling, oh, my first 2 weeks or months or years, whatever, I felt this and this happened and that's not going on and that's not happening anymore. And I remember once I was talking to a devotee in Argentina, and she told me, and we were practicing for like, at that time, I don't know, 15 years or something. He told me, I really wish that I will go back and experience the experience that I had when I started. And I mean, I appreciated it, but I was like, I don't want to go there. Not because it was all horrible, but because now I'm here. Right? It's like if I go to my mom and tell Mom, it was so beautiful the time that I was a baby, and I will just urinate myself, and you will change my diapers. So sweet. Let's go back there. And my mom will say, it was beautiful, but no. We are ready for something else now. Because that was beautiful, let's build on that beauty to bring the whole thing to another level. You follow my point? Not toxic nostalgia. Oh, in the past, and always the past seems better than the present, no? Or the future may seem. It's all just to escape the present moment. Right? The mind many times goes there. Past, tamas, nostalgia, future, rajas, projection, attainment, goals, but the present, I'm absent to the present. But interesting, I should be present in the present. Present is to be present.
It's a present.
It's a present. Also, I like to connect those three words generally. In English, we have, I don't know if in German works like that. not in Spanish. Well, in Spanish, yeah. Presente, presente, presente. So we could, in English you have present, like I give you a present. Present, like to be present. And present, like the present moment. So to be present in the present is the best present you can give to yourself and others. To make a play of words. So. You were raising your hand half an hour ago, sorry.
Yeah, it was about the word like wandering. Wandering,
Yes.
like to discover the world and to discover God. Like
Wandering with O.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because once I heard like wandering instead of knowing.
Mm.
And it gave a complete different perspective on how to approach the
Mm.
subject.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be also regarding Krishna.
Yeah, the other day we were talking in Austria, and it was like a very, it was a moment of wonder for me. Because I know these verses that I will quote now, but I never put the two of them together in a certain way, and I was like, oh my God. And these two verses, one is Raso Vai Saha, one says Rasa Sar Chamatkar. First one says Raso Vai Saha, God is love. Let's put it simply. God is Rasa. Rasa can be translated as sacred rapture, but love. We can say love. God is love. This other verse says Rasa Sar Chamatkar. The essence of Rasa, or love, is Chamatkar, which means wonder, astonishment. So if God is wonder, if God is love, and the essence of love is wonder, then the essence of God is wonder. So God is wonder in himself. So I never thought like that. So I was at wonder when I connected those two. It was wow. So yeah, spiritual practice means developing my relationship with that reality, which essence is wonder. So ideally we should be experiencing wonder on some level. Again, I'm not saying at every second rolling on the ground in ecstasy, and that may happen eventually, but some form of wonder, and that's real knowing, exactly as you say. It's not just informational, it's transformational. Right? So, and sometimes to experience wonder also we need to stay enough time with something or someone to experience wonder. Like I was giving you the example of the grass. If you stay close enough time, you start to listen. So to say, oh, there's a guru here giving me a lesson. But if I'm just running on top of the grass, I didn't hear anything. Especially in the times we are living nowadays, everything's so fast. Our minds are now wired to go at 300 times more quicker than ever, and we lose sight of so many miracles around us. So there's no wonder. And I see that with technology and everything being very accessible, but the price is no wonder. I don't know, a very simple example. As a teenager, I was musician, and I love music, and I will love to buy, I have my favorite bands, and whenever the latest album of a band was about, there was no internet at the time, and that was not Satya Yuga, it's a few decades ago only. I know that for the younger one here, it's like, no internet? What's that? How could the planet Earth survive without Wi-Fi? Well, anyhow, and I remember this whole, again, it's an example, relative example, but there was this wonder, wow, the new album, and I'm collecting money to get it, and this day will be released, and going to buy it and open it. And now it's like, you just download the MP3 and there you have it. So it's so accessible, so easy, so it's like, you follow my point? There's no wonder. So that's why many times in many ancient traditions they will, intentionally take you out of the comfort zone so you can experience wonder. Like fasting. That's not comfortable, but that displaces you from the usual things and takes you to a different place. Like recently, this retreat I told you, we were in the United States. At one point it was like, okay, now part of the retreat is each one will go in the wilderness and sit there for like 8 hours with nature. You're gonna take anything with you. Just if you want a paper and a pen, but just be there. And again, it's not the usual thing you do every day. So by force, you are like forcibly taking you out of the comfort zone. But after maybe wonder, speaking of wonder, but we need to pay attention. Yeah, that's a wonder. I mean, just look at the sky at any moment. It's always, but we forget to just remember we haven't ever. If the flying was not wonderful enough, now comes the concert.
Perfect timing.
In two groups now. And even without the birds, you can just look at the sky, and we have an ever available, always available, ever changing canvas there. No? Krishna is always changing the design at every second. We could just like. Let's be honest, sometimes the whole day passed and I didn't watch the sky even once. I was too busy with my screen series stuff. But the grass, the blade of grass, the sky, I mean, in every direction we can be wonderful. But sometimes we need to forcibly take us there. That's my point. If we wait, like, let that happen spontaneously at every moment, maybe we need sometimes to, okay, I'm leaving my phone here and I'm going to the forest for 10 minutes by myself, and I will be intentional about it. May sound a little bit forced in the beginning, but eventually wonder starts to come. Like when we were in the forest the other day, 6-7 hours. Of course, in the beginning it's like, okay, you are not, it's not something you do every day, but eventually it's like, yeah. Even now, start to listen. Oh, this bird, that bird. You start to recognize, to know, cognition, cognize, to know, respect, recognize, to know again. Oh, but again, you need enough time. Sometimes we need to have discipline and organize ourselves in a way that we can provide those moments for everyone. We need to be generous with ourselves. You were raising your hand, sir. Go there and there. We can go there.
Yeah, thanks for your sharings. A lot of it really resonated with me, and at the same time, I'm feeling like you were talking about the wonder and being open for again and again discovering the wonders. And I found myself in a space where I, especially when it comes to sambandha, when it comes to connection also with other people, I want to be in this perspective of experiencing the wonder in, for example, finding trust in the person which is opposite of me, and especially I feel it's because you also mentioned the like how Einstein framed it. Mayhem is making an experience again and again and again, and every time thinking something will change. But on one side, this is also for me some kind of definition of wonder, that at some point something might change. So what I maybe want to ask, especially when it comes to also these kind of regulations and stuff, when how to find wonder and trust in connection also to other people, when I have the feeling that certain people might not be good for me. Yeah, so especially when it comes to sambandha, and when I'm infused of this, you should look for people who are more advanced than you, where you feel a call, or what is this wonder which really also makes me find people where I can really grasp from, and to which extent should I trust my feelings in this.
You have 3 more hours?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. It was never 2 minutes. Sarah was lying to all of us. It's funny because when she gave me in advance, she told me we may ask all the things. Ideally 2 minutes. I was like, 2 minutes? It won't be 2 minutes, but I have to tell you 2 minutes because if not, okay, 2 minutes.
2 minutes of Brahma.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about Brahma again. Oh, that's back. Yeah, there are so many things there, especially this thing also of trusting yourself and trusting what you feel, because many times, unfortunately, of course, there's a place to say, do not be overtly sure about yourself, but also do not be overtly distrustful about yourself. Do not think like whatever I feel, I think, I perceive is perfect and absolute. That's not too much. But also not to the extreme that whatever you perceive, feel, or think is always wrong, and you need someone else to tell you what to do and how to think. It's too much also. At least at some stage of the journey. I can understand the beginning of a journey, like a 2-month baby. You cannot give too much independence to a 2-month baby. I mean, he will just start to crawl. Oh, thank you. That's it. A little boy, you cannot allow them to do whatever they want, because that's dangerous. I want to fly and jump from the window and roll on the ground in the highway. It's like, no. So, because I love you, no. Eventually you grow in proper boundaries, so to say, like a proper fence. That's the example that I like always that Prabhupada gave. No? He said, okay, in the beginning of our practice, going back to Bhakti Bloom, Bhakti Lata Beach, the seed of Bhakti we received, we planted. But in the beginning it's just a seed. There is a very tender offshoot, like a very tender, how do you say in English? Sprout, thank you. So it may be easily uprooted. So Prabhupada will say, okay, you put a fence around that. So the plant starts to grow up and down, rooted and upwards, both directions. That's how growth in spiritual life should happen also. It's not just up, 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 up. If you are not rooted enough, the up will even make, because the upper you go, the more quickly you will fall because of a lack of grounding. So it has to be simultaneously. So you put the fence, water, and whenever the plant is tall enough and rooted enough, you will start to grow beyond the fence. So in the beginning you have that fence, like you don't see what's going on outside. And maybe a guru, a guide, or a father, depending on the case, basically that will be this thing. No, the father will tell the kid, listen to me, learn from me. No, but what about that here? And puts a fence. No? In the beginning, it's for a 2-year-old, it's too overwhelming to listen to too many people. Yeah. And it's okay. That's why every kid of 2 years old may say, oh, my father is the best father in the world. And everyone will think the same, because, okay, it's okay, it's nice at that age. When they grow, they can still feel that, but also realize there's place for others to feel their father is the best father of the world. So my point is, at the beginning there may be this fence, and in that fence sometimes a guide may say, do not over-trust everything you feel, think. Don't take that as absolute truth. Try to like if you go to study, go to class 1 of, I don't know, architecture in the university, you cannot go to the teacher and say, I have all these ideas about architecture that I will like. The teacher will say, sit down, please listen for a while, and we can have a conversation. Right? And part of the teacher, in a healthy way, I'm saying all that, of course. I'm not saying any of it to justify, shut up, you don't know anything, and you just learn from me, and eventually, no, in a loving way. But when you naturally have been nourished inside that fence, you grow beyond the fence. And then you can see the world outside of the small fence and relate to it with proper grounding. So you are not like, so you can, at one point, ideally, you can fully trust yourself. And you can fully connect with everything you feel, you see, and you have a sober, objective vision of everything. And that's not pride either. You are so connected to your body, to your mind. We should do that already on some level or another. But we should also keep some door open for the possibility of being misreading something of that also. So we don't become too... But sometimes in the name of love yourself, self-confidence, we can become narcissistic also. Nobody can tell me anything, I only know everything about me. And it's good to also have some openness. But also it's good to connect with ourselves and not to become overtly dependent on other people telling us what's best for us, because at one point nobody else knows what we're going through. But Krishna, of course, but you follow my point, right? So someone can offer feedback, but it cannot be like conclusive and absolute. No, you are feeling this, and I know you have to do that. And so that's the spirit of how Guru should accompany the disciple. That's how Krishna does with Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, right? He speaks the Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna asks Arjuna first, have you understood what I shared? Is it clear enough? Like implying, if it's not, I'm willing to repeat the whole thing again. For you, in service to you. And then he says, okay. And Arjuna said, no, it's clear. Thank you. Okay. Now you think for yourself what I told you, and you decide what's best for you. Good luck. That's what Krishna is saying to him and to all of us. But before saying that, he says lots of things to Arjuna first. He tries to instruct him on this, and then Arjuna has questions, answer. But at one point, Krishna says, okay, boy, you're free to go. Trust yourself. And we can still do mistakes, but as we say before, we can learn from that. So if you learn from your mistake, how much you can call that a mistake? I always remember this. I'm going back to my musical past. Going to the jazz world for a moment. There's a very beautiful story told by Herbie Hancock. He will be a piano player, and he will play with Miles Davis. He's a famous jazz musician. So he tells that he was playing. Of course, in jazz there's a lot of improvisation, but improvising doesn't mean you can do anything and everything. It's not like I'm improvising. It's happening in certain parameters of rhythm and harmony, but still you're improvising. So he was improvising on the piano, and Miles Davis was playing, how do you say, trumpet? Mm-hmm. Anyhow, so and Herbie Hancock was on the piano, and at one point he plays the wrong note. And again, there are wrong notes in improvising. It's not like anything and everything goes. So he everything was going on. He was like, oh. I cannot repeat the word he used. He said, like, oh. And then he immediately looked at Miles Davis. And I was like, oh my gosh, he will kill me now. I ruined the whole thing. But what Miles Davis did was he picked on that wrong note, and he started to develop a whole new melodic pattern based on that wrong note. So he took the whole composition to another level, and so and then came this famous. At the end, they were talking, and he said, "How you did?" And Miles Davis said, "It's not so much about which note you play, but what you do after that. No? What do you with the wrong notes? If you do something great, it was not the wrong note. So we can feel every day in our life, oh, I played the wrong note. But you can see the wrong note as an invitation to a new song, so to say, to another. Maybe you needed to play that wrong note. That was necessary to take you out of the box of playing always the right notes. And let's explore this new composition here. It ended with jazz and Miles Davis. I hope that helps.
Very nice, thank you.
Yeah. Gastemon.
Sometimes I almost feel in Bhakti it's easy to love Krishna because there are so many wonders like we spoke about and so many things we can be thankful about. But I have much harder time to understand why Krishna should love us or me. I think recently you spoke even about as this is as an anatta to don't understand why Krishna is not why Krishna is loving us. So maybe you can say something to that.
Yeah. I gave a whole lecture 2 days ago, but you were not here, so it's fine. But we'll share it soon. Yeah, of course, it's true what you say. Many times it's very difficult for us to understand why, not only why Krishna should love me, but on top of that, why he's actually loving me. Because why Krishna should love me implies maybe he's not doing that. But we receive from the scripture that Krishna is already loving not only me, but everyone. Now for some it may be more difficult to, why Krishna is loving him, or her, or them. Me, of course, yeah, of course. He said in the Gita, the soul is wonderful, I'm wonderful, but them? Or maybe not with love, but with this idea of mercy, right? Krishna, give me mercy, and then, but why? Why to them? But mercy is mercy. You cannot ask that question. If you ask that question, means you're imposing some notion of earning and deserving, and mercy has nothing to do with that. So many times maybe we cannot, I mean, there are many reasons why it's difficult for us to accept that Krishna is loving us, but one of those is like, because it doesn't make sense to the usual way we measure and calculate things. It doesn't make sense that someone loves me infinitely while I've been rejecting probably his existence for lifetimes. Hypothetically. It doesn't compute if you do the math. How can you love me infinitely if I've denied your existence for ages? It doesn't make sense, so it's difficult to... So that's why the fact that Krishna loves us unconditionally should like shatter all those ways of thinking and invite us to enter into another way of thinking, which doesn't work with earning and deserving and performing, and because in all that still the ego is at charge. Like, I've done it, I've deserved it. So when we say, for example, Krishna costless mercy, sounds nice. Oh, costless mercy. But I like to say Krishna's costless mercy is not priceless. You have to pay a price. And what's the price? To accept that you did nothing to deserve it. And that's not so easy. Because we tend to act in a way that if I have not deserved it, then it's like, it's the death of the false ego, basically. I mean, false ego should die, but it can die in a very beautiful way. Like this, you are receiving something that is too much, too beautiful. I have nothing for that, and it's still coming. It dismantles all this false sense of self about deserving and earning and being. And I move to tears, and I recognize I have done anything to deserve it, but I need that so badly. Like this famous quote that says, help me when I deserve it the less, because that's when I will be needing it the most. Please help me when I deserve it the less. That's when I need it the most. That's how grace operates. That's not justice. Justice, you get what you deserve. And if you just insist on justice, we're all losers. No? Mahatma Gandhi will say, if you just play out eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, we will all be blind and toothless. Nobody's a winner. So we better do not become too insistent on that. So, and it takes time. Again, it's hard. It's hard. It sounds again romantic. Krishna loves you infinitely, but when you try to understand the price for that is accepting that I have not done anything to deserve that, and that's still being given to me as a free gift. My false self cannot survive that. And many times we are not willing to let that die. And that's why we go back to the justice department again. No, I have to deserve things. I have to perform and do and earn and work. I deserve it. Okay? Back to the karma agency. You do, you receive what you deserve. But to receive unconditional love and costless mercy, the price is utter humility. And that humility is humiliating for the false self that insists on deserving, because who knows how long we have walked into that narrative. You're only as good as what you perform and deserve, and you have to impress, and you have to be this and that. Because many times, and again, I'm talking in general, each case is unique, but many of us sometimes have not had much of an experience of unconditional love. So we hear about Krishna loves you unconditionally, it doesn't say much, because what's that? But if we've had that experience, maybe it's easier to relate. Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I personally can't speak for my parents. I mean, yeah, they love me unconditionally. Of course, with imperfections. Now, unconditional doesn't mean necessarily absolutely perfect like Krishna's unconditional love, but there are degrees of that. And I can think about my mom in so many situations that, yeah, she's unconditionally accepting me. So that gives me some reference point to be able to conceive that. It's still difficult. Because now talking about Krishna's love, that's on another level. And again, that should be fascinating. That should create wonder. That's like, wow. That's how, once I came to that reflection, like, okay, Mahaprabhu says, be more humble than a blade of grass. And many times we have weaponized that verse. Like, be humble. Like, go to the floor, humiliate yourself, feel terrible about yourself. The worse you feel about yourself, the more humble you are. And it's like, so one way to be very humble is increase your awareness of how you are being loved by Krishna unconditionally without having done anything for that. That's humbling in a very moving way, in a healthy way, not in a dysfunctional, toxic way. Like, enter into that space of, as the song was saying the other day, I am loved by you. And stay there enough till you start to believe it. Until you start to live it. Believe it. No? You have to live it. So, and of course, anartha-nivriti there also implies gradually deconstructing all these false narratives. You are not enough. You are never good enough. Sometimes it's you are useless. You are worthless. Nobody cares for you, because many times we inherited those narratives unfortunately, from childhood or other relationships. Generally childhood, when that happens. So we grow up believing, okay, I'm not worthy until and unless I perform. I am perfect. I am what others want me to be. So it's one mask after another trying to, please accept me, I belong. But if we do not believe that ourselves, then it will never happen, right? So, yeah. So that's a powerful message that may take time to fully impact us, but we need to stay there enough time. And again, and that's connected to how Krishna feels for us. It's good to stay enough time there also. Like, can I share with you few verses from? I'm glad that I brought my computer for some reason. I didn't know why I'm bringing it. Now I'm discovering the purpose. So this is a trailer. I mean, I just published one book, but this is a trailer of the next one. So this is a beautiful section from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And these are the words. These are the words of Krishna when Krishna is receiving Gopakumar in the spiritual world. So Gopakumar's representing us, let's put it that way, the devotee on his journey. The whole book is about the journey of a lover of God that finally arrives home. So how Krishna is welcoming that soul. So I think to enter in touch with that side is also helps us to become more convinced that it's actually true. No, it's not an idea. So I'll just read a few verses of what the reception party of Gopakumar in Golok Vrindavan. So I elaborate on that here, but I will just go to the verses. So Krishna is saying to Gopakumar, or to each one of you, if it helps visualize it like that. Welcome, welcome, my dear child. I am fortunate, so most fortunate to meet you here. Krishna is talking. For so long I have been longing to see you. My dear friend and darling, you have passed through many lifetimes without so much as a glance in my direction. Yet I was always there, a fool dancing with hope, thinking perhaps in this lifetime, or this one, or this, he will finally turn to me. Yet I could find no excuse to bring you to my abode, Krishna is saying, my brother, while still upholding the eternal laws I myself have created. You never called my name, Krishna is telling to Gopakumar, not even once in passing. Had you done so, I could have bent the rules and brought you to me. But without your slightest intention, how could I? That would not have been love. It would have been a flawed wrongdoing. Then Krishna reflects. Realizing my own lack of mercy, I became restless, anxious as to how I could obtain your mercy and bring you to me. I transgressed my eternal code of conduct and arranged for you to take birth in the sacred land of Govardhan, my most beloved abode. And I, my dear child, became your guru, known by the name Jayanta. And then he says, just to conclude, so Krishna tells to Gopakumar, today you have fulfilled the longing I have held in my heart for so long. Please nourish your happiness and mine by staying here forever. So again, if I don't tell you who is telling this to whom, you could think that this is a devotee talking to Krishna, right? So there's one point that you cannot say who is talking to whom, because the prayers that the devotee offers to God, God offers them also to the devotee. So I think we all need to stay enough time in this type of things and realize, wow, how loving Krishna is, how sweet Krishna is. As I say before, how grateful he is. Like remember this story of Draupadi when she was being disrobed and she claimed for Krishna, Govinda. And Krishna then, after protecting her, he says, that cry of yours, he's telling to Draupadi, that cry of yours has created an ever-increasing depth that does not leave my heart. So that's the God we adore. Right? You do a sincere calling, and Krishna feels eternally indebted to that person. So by entering more and more in this type of descriptions, it makes more sense to believe, okay, he loves me unconditionally. Yeah, it is, because that's who he is. an ocean of compassion, someone melting with unconditional love. And again, we need to stay enough time in that space, sacred space. Yeah. Thanks so much to all for your time, your patience, your attention, your presence, your friendship, your association. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sadhu Sangha ki jai, Vortaman Panchakalpatarupasya Pavanebhyo Vaishnava Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Shri Swami Padmanabha ki
Each of you ki jai. All practical for me now. All of you are included. Thank you. Thank you, Kanupriya, for hosting us.